What would your character be the god of? What would their domain be?
So the full question was, if our D&D character became a god, what would they be the god of, what would their domain look like, and would they have any special weapons? So I'm going to answer this for as many of my D&D characters as I can fit in 3 minutes. Starting with my very first character, he was an Eragenasi warlock. His domain would be a floating castle that looked like a giant library on the inside that floats above all existence. And his magic weapon would be a dark spell book, similar to the Book of Vile Darkness but worse, that only he could read with his special eyes. In order for someone to use the spellbook, they would have to take out their eyes and replace it with his. Next up is my half-elf, who was a bard and warlock multiclass. And he would be the god of utility. And in his domain would just be walls covered with pockets. And his domain is this way because one of his sacred items that he uses is a robe of useful items. And his magic item would actually be similar to a bag of holding, where he could pull out any weapon that he was proficient with, and it could be a magical weapon and he would automatically attune to it. Now this next one is a current character I'm playing, and he is a fairy artificer. He would be the god of fate. And when you enter into his domain, it looks like a giant conspiracy board everywhere. Like you can see the red lines on the floor, the walls, and the ceiling that all just connect to different things. Now his special weapon's a little tricky, and I'm not exactly sure what I think it would be, but I think it'd be similar to the book that Kang had in Loki. Which, spoilers for Loki if you haven't seen it. Kang was able to easily dodge their attacks because it was already written down, so he knew what they were going to do. Next is my fairy druid, whose subclass is Circle of Stars. This character was a character for a one-shot, so I'm not sure what they would be the god of, but I do know what their domain and what their weapon would look like. Their domain would look like space. You walk out, you can see the planets, the stars, different galaxies, and it's just huge. And their weapon would be a staff that could control that domain. Let's say there's an asteroid belt. They could use their staff to bring down the asteroid belt to attack you with. Or let's say if there's a star that they want in the distance, they can bring the star closer to you. Or even if there's a black hole, they can summon it. So this is a character that you do not ever want to fight in their domain. Outside of their domain, you have a pretty good chance, but in their domain, it's over. Next up is my human fighter, whose subclass is Echo Knight. And he would be either a god of illusions or a god of war. In his domain, it's a dark gray plane with shadowy figures everywhere. And those shadows are his echoes. If you played an Echo Knight before, you know you can swap places with your echo. So you have to always be on guard. His weapon will actually be a weapon that my friend made in his campaign. And it's a battle axe with the souls of everyone that you've killed in battle. Its name is Havion, after the last person who owned the battle axe. So I might do a part 2 because I have some more characters I want to go over.